This just in. If you have ever found yourself lying awake at night, desperately hoping that the billionaires building the future of artificial intelligence are stable, ethical human beings who have our best interests at heart, I'm so sorry to ruin your day. They are acting like literal comic book villains. According to a sweeping, deeply unhinged new investigation by The New Yorker, the senior leadership at OpenAI once hatched a geopolitical scheme to enrich their company by actively pitting hostile world governments against each other. It is an astonishing pattern of manipulation, deceit, and raw sociopathy from CEO Sam Altman and his executive team. They didn't just want to build a cool chatbot. They wanted to leverage the threat of global destruction to trigger a multi-billion-dollar bidding war. As a StoryBrand certified guide, I spend my life telling business owners to build their marketing on a foundation of authentic, undeniable trust. But if you are currently outsourcing your entire brand voice and business operations to a tech monopoly run by people who casually muse about selling superweapons to dictators, you are building your house on a terrifyingly unstable fault line. So let's rip apart this catastrophic country's plan, explore why Sam Altman is actively lying to US intelligence agencies, and discuss how you can immunize your business against this level of corporate psychopathy. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Vicky Sidler, a StoryBrand certified guide and duct tape marketing strategist from the Strategic Marketing Tribe. And I help small business owners like you build failure-proof marketing by focusing on the exact 20% of efforts that drives 80% of the results. All so that your marketing stops feeling like a miserable second job you never asked for. I believe your absolute greatest competitive advantage is simply sounding undeniably human. And your greatest currency is basic trust. Because, let's be honest, if you are building your entire business model on the back of technology run by people who think global warfare is a fun funding strategy, your foundation is built on sand. You must establish secure, undeniable human authority. So download my 5-minute marketing fix to craft a powerful StoryBrand one-liner that standardizes your brand message, giving you a scalable, repeatable way to earn customer trust without relying on sociopathic tech bros. Okay, now with all of that out of the way, why did OpenAI try to start a literal global arms race? Because when you are sitting in a Silicon Valley boardroom, the threat of mutually assured destruction apparently just sounds like a really solid monetization strategy. Back in 2017, OpenAI's second-in-command, Greg Brockman, was allegedly unimpressed by his ethic advisor's boring suggestion to form an international body to cooperate on AI safety. Instead, Brockman hatched what internally became known as the country's plan. He openly mused about playing massive world powers against each other to trigger a geopolitical bidding war. His actual verbatim logic, according to the ethics advisor, was, it worked for nuclear weapons, why not AI? Let that sink in. They looked at the Cold War, a decades-long era of paralyzing global terror that brought humanity to the absolute brink of nuclear annihilation, and thought, hey, we could totally do that to boost our Q3 revenue. The exasperated ethics advisor pointed out the sheer insanity of taking the most destructive technology ever invented and casually saying, what if we sold it to Putin? But to the executives at OpenAI, this wasn't just a moral crisis, it was just a spicy business model. Which begs the question, what happens when your boardroom turns into a Bond villain lair? Because when the people building our future stop worrying about safety and start treating global security like a giant game of Monopoly, the employees naturally start to panic. OpenAI's former policy director, Jack Clark, accurately described this unhinged scheme as a prisoner's dilemma, where the company would essentially extort nations by implicitly threatening that not giving OpenAI funding would be dangerous. It was essentially corporate blackmail on a planetary scale. A junior researcher recalled sitting in the meeting where this was discussed and thinking, this is completely effing insane. And here is the most depressing part. They eventually dropped the plan a few months later, but not because they suddenly grew a conscience or realized it might trigger World War III. They only dropped it because employees threatened to quit. The ethics advisor brutally noted that the threat of losing software engineers was always something that had more weight in Sam's calculations than the threat of causing a war between great powers. And that brings us to another interesting question. Did Sam Altman actually lie to the United States government? Because if you can't get Putin to fund your startup, your next logical step is apparently to just aggressively lie to the CIA. Starting in 2017, Sam Altman repeatedly went to US intelligence officials and breathlessly claimed that China had launched an AGI Manhattan project to build artificial general intelligence. He argued that to stay on equal footing, the US government urgently needed to give OpenAI billions of dollars. But when the intelligence officials actually did their jobs and pressed him for a source on this terrifying Chinese superweapon, Altman just vaguely waved his hands and replied, "I've heard things." An official who looked into the claims concluded that Altman had completely made the entire thing up. It was just a sales pitch. He was casting himself as a modern-day J. Robert Oppenheimer. But instead of actually building the atomic bomb to stop the Nazis, Altman was just leveraging fake geopolitical terror to line his own pockets. He was willing to manipulate global superpowers purely to maintain his own massive ego and secure an endless stream of venture capital. Okay, but now how do you protect your brand from sociopathic tech empires? Because if you are currently trusting these people with your proprietary data, your marketing strategy, and your customer interactions, you need to wake up immediately. These are not benevolent innovators trying to save humanity. They are ruthless corporate monopolists who are openly willing to destabilize the planet to secure funding. And yet, millions of businesses are eagerly feeding their most sensitive information into OpenAI's servers, trusting them to act as the foundational bedrock of their future operations. It is a catastrophic strategic error. You cannot outsource your core brand integrity to a company that lacks a basic moral compass. You have to actively insulate your business from this chaos. You need a structural foundation that relies on human empathy, not algorithmic extortion. So get my 5-minute marketing fix. It acts as a rapid diagnostic tool to help you use your actual highly evolved human brain to craft a crystal clear story brand one-liner. It gives you a standardized, reliable system to earn authentic trust, proving to your customers that you are a stable, ethical human guide, not just another casualty of the next Silicon Valley arms race. Stop losing sales. Download the fix now. You can get it for free in the description below, or you can go to strategicmarketingtribe.com/fix. But what about you? What is the most blatantly ridiculous sci-fi lie a tech bro has ever tried to sell the public just to secure funding? I'll go first. Remember when Adam Neumann convinced the world that WeWork wasn't just a profoundly unprofitable real estate subletting company, but was actually the world's first physical social network that would elevate the world's consciousness? He literally tried to trademark the word we and then walked away with $1 billion when the entire Ponzi scheme collapsed. Okay, your turn. What is your favorite unhinged tech founder delusion? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, you might like this one too. It's about why Meta is entering its zombie era and how to avoid the same fate. And this is one that YouTube thinks you might like, so check it out and see if the algorithm is right. That's it from me. I'm Vicky Sidler from the Strategic Marketing Tribe, and I post helpful news updates for small businesses every day.